Welcome to Courtroom Watch. I'm Daniel Leach. I'm your host. I'm here with Eric Jones, Connie, and a bunch of other people. I want to welcome Teresa here. She's my special guest on the show today. And we're going to be doing an emergency phone blitz for medically kidnapped Tania McCash. We have a post here on Courtroom Watch with plenty of details. But we do have a special guest with us today, and we're going to be starting the show out today with starting the show out with a prayer. And just want to welcome Gary as our lead minister here, and welcome to the show, Gary, and thanks for starting us out with a prayer. So go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel and folks. It's exciting times, and just to let you know, just a hair about me, I'm 83 years of age. I was brought up in a regular system of churchianity, and when I finally discovered that there was truth out here, and right from the scriptures, I started to study on my own, and was helped by an individual who sure taught me an awful lot of understanding of Scripture and what it really means. So we get a lot. We got rain today, and I want to thank our Father first of all to separate that out. That we want to thank Him for the prayer, for the rain, and we've been praying, heartily for the rain to come, because it's very clear that the rain would not be a problem if we would just follow the laws of the Father. He says in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1 through 4, if you do my statutes and you do this and you do that and you do something else, and these are all the ordinances and all the laws, and obey the Sabbaths and such, he says, then in verse 4 he says, then you will get rain in due season, and then your crops will last from one year to the end of the year, and you'll always have food available. So that was very important, but this is what he charged the Israelites of old to do. And since I understand I'm an Israelite, and my brothers that are Israelites, we have now come to understanding that this word is directly for us. So with that, we come to our Father, asking Him for a blessing upon the 12 tribes of Israel. These are the folks that's going to be the ones that are taken up and remembered at the end times. There will be 12,000 from each tribe. What a wonderful day that's going to be. But until then, we must pray consistently. And we have a lady friend, I think it's Tania and McCash, and I think that we need to put a little prayer around her and a hedge of protection. Because as we all know today, Father, you know better than we, that our conditions in our country, we're not living safely in it anymore like we would back in the days of Leviticus. So we ask that you give a form of protection, whatever you would make the decision to be, and that we would pray and support that decision that you do to put a hedge around her and give her the safety, give her protection in this evil system that we're involved in. And Father, as we reach out with each other, we pray for understanding, and we pray, Father, that as we do this together, we'll understand from Scripture what the truth is, not what Gary Don has to say, but what the Scripture has to say to Gary Don and other folks, and that will solve a lot of our problems. But Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be able to visit and be able to share the gospel of our Father, Yadivahi. That's his name in the Paleo Hebrew. So we say, bless you, and may Yadivahi bless what we're participating in today. So be it.
Well, thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. Want to introduce Eric. Eric's our co-founder of Courtroom Watch, and he's been following this case pretty closely. He's been contacted by quite a few people. Anyways, if you guys want to contact Eric, he's now has a new Facebook page, and Eric the Freedom Screamer Jones. and you can find that on Facebook. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate you having me, and we want to thank Gary for being with us tonight. That was an awesome prayer. We're not going to win this battle against evil without God, and this truly is a battle against evil. People who are hurting Tania McCash in a serious way. What's happening to her, long and short, is because she's so smart and such an effective, self-represented woman who is effectively and with great accuracy and results battling a very corrupt court in the state of California. We all know how corrupt the state of California is. We can go down and open up some of those avenues here as we go along throughout the night. But in Tania's case, she strictly, she went through a divorce, custody battle. The husband basically gained control of the children, and Tania is standing up against the courts in a really professional and smart way. You should see her documents. They're all up posted at courtroomwatch.com. That's courtroomwatch.com. Daniel, I want to interrupt and let you know we still do have a little bit of a feedback issue from either the amplifier or the speaker situation that we were talking about before. So it's not quite as bad now as it was during the beginning of Gary's presentation, but it is still there. So just wanted to see if you could keep an eye out on that. So audio is good for all our listeners out there, and we appreciate people joining us. We have a YouTube channel now for Courtroom Watch. Eric has his own Facebook page with my face actually up there, as ugly and as unshaven as it is. Daniel got me to put a picture up there so everybody can see there it's the real person. But anyway, thanks, Gary. Thanks for being with us, Jody. And we're going to get over to Connie real quick here, because Connie is a close friend of Tania's and has a little more knowledge about Tania's case than I do. I've got some, and she has even more. And she's very well spoken. Connie is an activist, a former corporate executive. She's really does great work. She's really helping people from a position of being, targeted as a patriot herself, and a person who's under certain persecution, whether that's personal, financial, technological, all kinds of. We're all under attack. We who are bringing you out there in listening land all this news, and this is real news. You're not going to get anything but brainwashing from the corporate media. Even the alternative media is going to pull that same type of let's toe the party line and pretend that the right Republicans are going to save us from the evil Democrats, or somehow the right socialists are going to come in and we're going to have a government we can trust to steal the money from the people and then redistribute it equitably. Sure, if you believe that one, the Tooth Fairy will be leaving some money under your pillow tonight. So anyway, with that, we're standing up for Tania tonight because she's really gutsy. She's really smart. She took on the court. She was winning. She got all the way into the federal courts with standing, and they bounced her case back to a lower county court, at which time a judge from a third county, so the federal court, the Alameda County, and the judge from the original Santa Clara came in and out of his jurisdiction locked Tania up in a prison for 3 weeks to be medicated. And she's sitting in a cell right now for 23 hours out of 24 hours a day. They were trying to decide whether she was going to sit in there for 21 hours or 23 hours. I wouldn't do that to my dog. And there she sits, and she gets 1 5-minute phone call a day. And she's got no resources to defend herself with a pen and paper to file motion in the court. She's got no way to go out and get hands-on money to put on her phone account. She can only call out to people who have a landline and can accept the charge. Can't do it from a cell phone. Who has a landline these days? Not too many of us. Most of the people are on the cell phone thing now. They got rid of the landline. So she can't call anybody. She's having difficulty getting a hold of people. She's not a criminal. She's not a danger to anyone else. And interestingly enough, before I turn it over to Connie to kind of run through the story in a little more detail, the paperwork at the prison facility, and it's called Elmwood Prison in Santa Clara County, California. The paper, and this comes from the woman who I spoke with at the prison facility. I asked her, I said, Miss Sergeant, or I think it was whoever, I said, what does the paperwork say? Was there a name of a judge on it? Who issued the warrant? No warrant. Was there any name of a judge at all? No name of no judge. How about, is there a criminal charge on this prosecutorial instrument, madame? And she said, no, nothing. I said, what is written on there? And she said the words, quote, sanity issues, unquote. Sanity issues, to be locked in a cage, worse than you would do to an animal, for quote-unquote, I mean, don't we all have some sanity issues? What does that mean? You want to talk about arbitrary, you come up with a term like that. Now, I've been in this for a while. Sanity issues, quote-unquote, is neither a legal term, nor is it a psychiatric term. So, I don't know what they think they're going to do here. That's why this is so scary. And if we don't stand up and participate in the phone blitz for Tania McCash, and you can find the details at courtroomwatch.com. I think we also have courtroomwatch.org. And go there, and you'll find some numbers to call. And guess what? They're already changing numbers. I called one of the numbers that used to be for the courthouse, and now it says, this is Department 61, leave a message. I mean, it's obvious they're jerking us around. So people, if you care, do your own investigation. Gather numbers yourself. Go online, search. Go to yellowpages.com. Go to whitepages.com. If you pay the $4 or $5, you can get people's home number and their cell phone numbers even. Get us the information. We need it. All that we can get, because they're already doing the dance with us, trying to both change numbers, ditch and dodge, and block a lot of our calls that are coming in. I know Gary in Michigan called me yesterday and said he was being blocked at just about every call he made. And he knows what being blocked on the phone is. He's an elderly gentleman, senior statesman of the freedom movement that's been doing this when we were in diapers. So anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Connie to explain a little more about Tania's case, how the custody battle, turned against her, what happened in the first, couple of years of court, and how she wound up where she is, and the 3 or 4 or 5 major complaints she has about jurisdiction, etc. So with that, I'm going to thank very much and welcome to the broadcast. Connie, would you please tell us more about Tania McCash in California and her current predicament?
Yes. Thanks, Eric. So Tania, over a year ago, she was attending a hearing because her husband, who claimed that he had a restraining order against her, he said he was afraid for his life, yet he kept on violating that own restraining order. She provided those types of documents to her lawyers. He would call her, send her emails, and he would come within 25 feet of her. So he really wasn't afraid of his, ex-wife. But anyway, that restraining order was expiring. She attended the hearing. It went on for more than 3.5 hours, but she left after 3.5 hours. What happened after she left was the ex-husband and his attorney, Dennis Luca. I think Dennis Luca's father was former chief of police of San Jose, where Tania lives. But anyways, they asked the judge to extend the restraining order for 5 years and also tack on her daughter. So the judge did that. Tania was not aware of that protective order. They have no proof of service. She was never served a copy of that order. The next morning, she went to the elementary school just to get a glimpse of her daughter and say hello from a distance like she normally does. And the principal chased her off the school property and gave her a hard time, according to Tania. Tania then went to the San Jose police to complain about the principal, and they put her in ankle shackles and handcuffs and hauled her off to jail and said she was violating a protective order. So it turns out the principal and the school knew, the police knew. She later found out her husband was actually watching as she was at the school and the principal was doing this. And yet she herself didn't know. To commit a crime, you have to have intent. There was no intent to commit a crime. She didn't knowingly commit a crime because she never received a copy of the protection order, number one. Number two, when this case has been going on for over a year, and instead of allowing Tania to defend herself because she's been, screwed over by so many lawyers, and she trusts herself more than a public defender or a lawyer. She kept on arguing the point that she never was served the protective order, nor was she aware of it. They would talk over her and interrupt her, according to Tania, and And, and then they started, the judge implied that he thought she needed medication and to get psychiatric or professional help. And then he court-ordered her to see a psychiatrist. Now, meanwhile, Tania, very articulate, very intelligent, fighting the fight as hard as she can. I mean, she knows the Constitution, I think, more than many Americans, and she's not even from our country. She's here on a green card. She's a citizen of Slovenia and Canada. But anyways, she was trying to use common law. She was trying to get, she moved her case from Santa Clara County to Alameda County. Then she tried to move it into federal court. There were 2 criteria that she was supposed to meet, and she didn't meet both of those criteria, maybe because of not knowing how to file the paperwork, or I'm not sure. But anyways, I have the court document right in front of me right now. It's from Northern California U.S. Federal District Court. It's dated August 3rd, 2018. They dismissed it and remanded it back to Alameda County. Tania confirmed several weeks ago with Alameda they have jurisdiction. Now, because Judge Manley, M-A-N-L-E-Y, in Santa Clara, and Santa Clara County would not give up this case to Alameda County. And because he implied that she needed, he was acting like a doctor on the bench when he was telling her that she needed medication and, psychiatric help, and then court ordered the psych eval. Tania complied. She went. The first one she went to, they told her she didn't have to stay. She could leave. And she said, no, this is court ordered. I'm not leaving, because so that would have sent her deeper, got her deeper in trouble. But anyways, she did the psych eval. She knew it wasn't going to go her way, no matter how sane and intelligent and articulate she is. There's an agenda against Tania. Okay, so when the judge did what he did and said what he said to her, she filed a civil complaint against the judge. June 21st, he was served. He had 30 days to respond. His counsel responded on the 30th day with a demur. Okay, now that court date has been extended. So now Tania has, I think, until August 28th or 29th. Now he should have recused. Okay, so the first thing is she wasn't aware of the protective order that got her, arrested over a year ago. Number 2, she has a civil case where she's the plaintiff and Judge Manley is the defendant, and he should have recused himself from the case. And instead, in my eyes, he's retaliating against her. And, him throwing her in jail, that affects her ability. Now, she has to respond to his demur in her civil case. Number 3, it's not they do not have jurisdiction over this case, but they refuse to let it go. This is truly injustice. And if people really should be compassionate and caring and everything, they should care about this, because Tania's first and maybe they're next. It's really terrible. So thank everybody who is calling, spending any time. We have to help Tania get out. And one last thing I would like to not last thing, but one thing I'd like to mention, even if Judge Manley thought, he asked her in court, according to Tania, this is what she told me. He said, will you take psychiatric meds? She said, no, I will not. He said, will you take a public defender? She said, I will not. He said, then you're going to jail for 3 weeks. And they did. They sent her to jail for 3 weeks, okay? Now, again, he should have recused himself from the case. Number 2, no jurisdiction. Number 3, and so anyways, she's in jail, and even if he did think that she needs meds, she's mentally or psychologically ill, do you think taking a mentally or psychologically ill person and putting them in Elmwood Correctional Facility in Milpitas, California, and putting her in there with dangerous inmates And these people, she told me about two of the ladies. She was in almost like a solitary the first night, Friday night. Saturday, she was put in the room, and the lady the girl has like a strep staph skin infection on her body, and Tania was worried that it's contagious. Okay, and then when Tania tried to sleep, no, they have a bright light, and she's on the top bunk. So this bright light is shining on her. And, Tania's been microchipped. And, so anyways, then they moved her yesterday. And she says a guy comes in like a hazmat suit and starts spraying stuff. Number one, what was he spraying? Number two, why was he spraying with it? Number three, her new cellmate has illnesses, and Tania is afraid it is also contagious. So if that judge really cared about the public, he obviously doesn't care about Tania, or you're not going to take somebody who you think needs psych meds and should be in a psych facility and stick them in with a bunch of dangerous, not all are dangerous, but possibly dangerous criminals who have illnesses and disease. And, Tania, she's on a certain diet because of a surgery that she had many years ago. Are they accommodating that? No. She's asking, I'm trying the best I can, to order her snacks online, and they make a lot of money. I'm telling you, the county and the judge there's a lot of people making a lot of money every day that Tania's in jail. And, I think there's multiple things going on. Number one, they're making a lot of money. Number two, they have a vendetta to take her down. If she doesn't respond to I'm sorry?
I was going to say, expand before you move on. Expand on what you just said about making the money, because it's obvious that. What were you telling me before about Judge Stephen Manley being praised like he's a rock star in the media, because he's giving people the option of being forced medicated rather than going to jail. And you even brought up the veterans were involved, and it's so insidious when they try to force medicate the veterans. Can you talk more about Judge Manley's activities as a drug pusher for Big Pharma?
Well, so I don't know a lot about Judge Manley, but after Tania mentioned him, I decided to look him up on the Internet. And what does it come up with? A page full of him smiling. He has a patch over his eye. There's nothing wrong with having a patch over your eye, but anyways, and he has his arms around, he's shoulder to shoulder and arm with people who committed crimes. And in lieu of going to jail, he's saying if you take these, psychiatric drugs and you seek medical help, you don't need to go to jail. So number one, is he keeping dangerous criminals out of jail and giving them medication, letting them do this option? But clearly, and there's even a YouTube video if you type in Judge Manley, and he's being praised for offering that option in lieu of jail time. But
I can play that video right now if you want me to. It's a 2-minute video.
In my opinion, he is an elected public or whatever public official, misusing his position to push pharmaceutical drugs. Clearly, this is wrong. I want to see his medicine free. I want to see what knowledge and experience. I know firsthand. I've worked in the medical industry for over 30 years. I worked for Pfizer for about 10 years. I worked for the FDA for 8.5. I had to study and do research with psychiatric antidepressant drugs when Pfizer was getting a drug approved. I learned a tremendous amount. I read the summary basis of approvals, the labels, the black box warnings, and I compiled quite a bit of research on behalf of the corporation that I worked for, because they were going for a reapproval because it got denied the first round. And I learned a tremendous amount. It is a very dangerous class of drugs. They are handing this out to children elderly, sick, everybody, right and left, like it's candy, and it's not. It's dangerous. When I did that research, I remember seeing 16-year-olds drop dead of sudden cardiac arrest. Many of these drugs cause weight gain. So if a person is depressed and they gain a lot of weight, I don't think that's going to give them a really good help their mental state about themselves. And anyways, Tania did contact CCHR. She was doing all the right things. She was reaching out. She trusted some people. She, to help her. And she has had many attorneys. Unfortunately, those attorneys weren't acting on her behalf.
Right.
So if she doesn't trust lawyers and public defenders, it's because she has good reason. It's not because she's paranoid or delusional or psychotic. Like I said, she took the online civics course on National Liberty Alliance and the Constitution course. She knows codes and statutes. She can rattle them off her head. She knows about Title 42 code violations. This stuff is going on over and over, and she has told judges and she has told police officers when they were were doing a Title 42 code violation or whatever. She is really an amazing person. And, some psychiatrist or judge who knows her for 5 minutes or they see her for face value, do they ask to talk to somebody who she's been friends with for years or her family members like her father or her brother? No. They just render their opinions because they have an agenda. It is a predetermined outcome with what happened to Tania. But I believe that judge was acting vindictively, misusing his position and authority to retaliate against Tania because he is the defendant in that lawsuit.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so just based on those things, again, the three things, she was never aware of the protective order, nor was there a proof of service. Number one, this should have ended over a year ago, And number two, they kept on going back and forth, a misdemeanor, a felony, a misdemeanor, a felony. Okay, which is it? Is it a misdemeanor or a felony? She told me that Judge Manley told her in June that, I believe it was June, that you are incompetent due to your legal strategy. Well, her legal strategy was to fight the system and also sue Judge Manley for saying that she needed psychiatric meds and to be in a mental facility. So maybe he doesn't, of course he doesn't agree with her legal strategy because she doesn't agree with them and she's fighting for her rights. People need to know we have rights. We also have the right to fight for our rights. Instead of sheriffs taking Tania off to jail from the courtroom, what they should have done is they should have defended her constitutional rights. That court did not have jurisdiction. She was being denied due process, so clearly there's corruption at all levels. And Tania did quite a bit of research. When she was going through her divorce, the divorce judge, she found out how much extra money he got from the county. I believe it was around $300,000 or $400,000 above and beyond what his salary is. Many judges get extra benefits. Now, do they claim that on their taxes? Because there are some people in they are finding out what the judges got in extra benefits, and they are trying to turn them in. And
judicial benefits, that's what she called it, Connie.
Yeah, and so, and the county, they make money from people. There's a lot of people making money when people are incarcerated and in mental institutions. And this is truly criminal. It's white-collared organized crime. But really, they are public servants, and it is their obligation and fiduciary duty to serve the public.
RICO, RICO, R-I-C-O. What is that, Eric, stand for the...
It's racketeering and conspiracy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because this is Eric. Somehow, geez, I wonder why my call got dropped. So I just had to call back in. And what a great presentation by Connie. Now, a couple of things. I want people to get what she's telling you. There are two things. So many. Let's start off with three. The judge lost jurisdiction in that case. The Santa Clara County judge, Stephen Manley, lost jurisdiction to Alameda County. That was from the federal court that gave that ruling. Well, the federal court says Alameda has it. So in comes Judge Manley, the hanging judge from the county that does not have jurisdiction anymore. That's number one. Number two, who is he to be telling Tania from his position on the bench that she needs to be medicated? Is he a psychiatrist? Is he a doctor? Is he practicing medicine from the bench? Is he practicing law from the bench by giving her legal advice or medical advice? What's he doing saying, you need to be medicated, Mrs. McCash? Oh, and by the way, you need a psych evaluation. Well, how about you make the determination she needs medication after the psych evaluation? Hello? I mean, so are people hearing this? He comes in where he has no jurisdiction. He locks her up and then locks her up in a cage for not submitting to his demand to take drugs. What kind of drug pusher is he? Mrs. McCash, you will take drugs or you will go to jail. And she says, well, I guess I'm going to have to go to jail. I'm not taking your poison pill. A smart woman, gutsy woman, and now she's suffering. And this is why we're here, because we want everybody to go to courtroomwatch.com and call the numbers we have listed in the phone blitz for Tania McCash. The best we can do. The numbers are accurate, but they often change the numbers, so people continue to do your research, continue to hunt these people down in a way that's political pressure. We do not advocate violence or anything. You know what we want to see? We want to see some white stripes on those black robes. Okay, we want to see the witches. We want to see the judges and their enforcement henchmen and henchwomen. We want to see them put in the prisons that they built for us and Tania. So, and to do that, we have to start putting on notice that the persecution of the patriots, like Tania, has to stop. Where's all the men out there? Are there any guys left? We're relying on the women to do all the work here. God, Daniel, of course, and Gary, but, Connie and Jody and Tania and all these great, brave women fighting this fight. I expect the men to at least pick up the phone or send emails and letters to require Tania's immediate release. I don't want to let our big friend, the big T's, off the hook now. We're forgetting. We don't want to offend our friends in Rome because we know where the power is. The Vicar General and the Archbishop in your diocese has ultimate power over all these politicians and judges. Trust me, I can prove the case. I'm going to do that another time or later. I've done it before. Look up some of our other broadcasts on Studio 1776. We're going to try to get everything posted at our new YouTube channel, but there's only a few up there now. So bear with us. Keep checking in, keep checking up, because this information we bring forward is crucial. It's going to save someone's life, or the lack of involvement may cost somebody their life. They're putting Tania in a facility with people who have flesh-eating bacteria in a room that's so contaminated. A guy with a hazmat suit comes in and sprays it down when she leaves it. They're trying to kill her by some kind of disease or something she catches. I've heard many cases of people's food being poisoned while they're in prison by the prison staff. They get rid of a lot of people in prison. These guys who hang themselves don't always hang themselves. They get some help from the guards there, the corrupt ones. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are good. So we have to get rid of the delusion that the system is, just a little bit broken and it just needs a little tweaking and fixing. I don't think so. We have to empty the prisons out. The first thing the president should do is completely empty out all the prisons of any quote crime or any people who have not committed a crime that involves a victim. Who has Tania McCash injured by going to her daughter's softball game and watching her play a game so she can participate a little bit in her daughter's bringing up? Imagine that. All you single moms out there, imagine if somebody yanked your child, totally no reason, only because you were strong and fighting for yourself and your family, and all you want to do is see her play in a ball game so you can have some, idea of how the girl's growing up, and you get hauled off to a psychiatric ward. and the judge comes out of his jurisdiction, Tania files a lawsuit against him, which is brilliant, and that's why she's really paying the price. She went the full 9 yards. She went farther than I've gone. I have not sued any judges yet because I don't have any faith in the system at all. I don't believe that I'm ever going to get, they're never going to give Eric the Freedom Screamer a victory, even if they break their own laws, they'll do it to avoid giving us a victory. So I have no faith in the system at all, zero, none. And it's because I've not been in it as a person who's got necessarily dragged through it up into the court and on charges, but I'm helping other people who have been brought up into the court on charges. Funny, not funny, but very interesting in this case, no charges, no criminal charge, no bail, no bond, no, can't call the bondsman and get out of this one. There's no chance of nothing. There's nothing going. This is strictly disappear the woman by sticking her in a psychiatric prison hospital. This is not a normal private facility. This is prison. They don't they abuse you in there. You get you're lucky if you come out alive. You usually come out sick or broken down so bad physically that it's hard to recover. So I'm encouraging everybody to, stand up for Tania like you would want somebody to stand up for you. If you got dragged into a situation like this, it can happen to anybody. It truly can. This is, and she's fighting the fight. So if you really want to support somebody who's out there at the front, truly at the front lines, that's Tania. It's not all these other news places that say, we're at the front lines, we're the tip of the spear. Okay, not maybe at one time, the best case, but no, they're not. People like Tania who are paying the price, who are filing the papers, suing the judges, going through the court, trying to give the system its chance. Tania had some faith in the system. I have none. But I give her massive amounts of credit for trying to get her day in court, her justice through the system. Unfortunately, this is what ends up happening. The system is so corrupt from top to bottom that as soon as you begin to take action against the witch's court, they'll make up stuff against you. They'll come out, they'll break their own laws, they'll violate their own procedure. The upper courts higher than them will cover for the lower courts. Very rarely do you have an upper court, disagreeing with the lower court. They circle the wagons because they're desperate to uphold the system. This is why there's not really many good ones, and I hope the good ones will really start making a difference and let's just go with the basics. No compliance, no enforcement. These laws are unlawful. These judges' orders are unlawful. The judge can say whatever he wants. Unless there's some henchman out there who actually grabs Tania and drags her away to the prison. And those are the guys really to blame. You can point the finger at Stephen Manley all you want, and we should. But how about the guys who are actually doing his dirty work? He couldn't tie his own shoes. These judges couldn't wipe their own bottom without an assistant or a servant or a cop or a sheriff or a bailiff or a government agent from a agency or someone from the military. They couldn't do it. They have to have the enforcement agents. And that's why I encourage people to go to courtroomwatch.com and also read our latest posting right next to Tania's phone blitz, The Corruption Process of a Law Enforcement Officer, a Paradigm of Occupational Stress and Deviancy, written by Francis McCaffrey or McCarthy. I believe, I forgot, his name's not coming to mind. You'll see it up there. It's a 26-page PDF of a very interesting thesis on the corrupting process that these enforcement agents go through to be able to get away with, to execute and get away with these unlawful orders, like kidnapping Tania McCash, carrying her from her daughter, locking her in a psychiatric ward for now, 21 or 22, 23 hours a day, solitary confinement. Now, if you did that to your dog, they would lock you up. The SPCA would come to your house with the Humane Society police, and they usually get escorted by the state troopers, and they'll come to your house and they'll take you away and lock you up if you lock your dog up in a room for 23 hours a day. And they're doing it to Tania McCash, who never hurt anybody. Think about that, people. And then do something about it. And you can start by going to courtroomwatch.com. And we encourage all you single parents who want to make a difference, be politically active, do something. We all have to stand up and do something. I got news for you. They really are the first people who are going to be in their sights are the ones who don't fight back. bunch of cowards. They know who you are. They've got data on everybody, where sites you visit, what you read, all your phone calls are database. They can listen to anybody anytime. If you're involved in the world in any significant way, they're gonna know who the fighters are, who the resistors are, and who the sheeple are. The ones that'll lay down and take it. And they're the first ones the wolves go after because they're an easy kill. Watch the lions. They don't go after the bull elephant or the water buffalo, the 32.5-ton water buffalo. They go after the baby. They go after the children. And the weak and the ones that won't fight back. So we ask you people to just at least make some phone calls and send some emails. Keep the public attention. So put links up. If you're too scared to make the phone call to the judge's clerk, which is no big deal, just call, voice your complaint, require them to call you back, or you're going to have to call every day until you get a call back. That makes them have to call you back and to at least put an end to the phone calls. We get 100 or 500 people doing that, makes a huge difference. Tania, it'll save Tania's life because they're going to try to get rid of her. They've got her in rooms with 6 people that have to be sprayed down with guys in a hazmat suit as she's being moved from one room to the next. Oh, and don't you like the part about the spotlight, floodlight being right on her all night while she's trying to sleep? Isn't that nice? I'm sure they're not giving her much food. According to Connie, she has to buy her own toothpaste and toiletries. How are you going to do that when you can't get to the bank and you can't get your hands on any money? You have to rely on people out there to put money in your commissary. That's a nightmare sometimes, but I encourage people to just go through the motions and do it. And Tania McCash, M-C-cash, and she's in Elmwood prison in Santa Clara County, California. And her PSN number is EEG, that would be Edward George 382. That's EEG 382 is Tania's PSN number. I guess that's her prisoner status number. I think it's something like that. And so they're making a lot of money on Tania right now. The judge is making money. The judge is sitting on the bench telling her that she better take a drug that he's pushing from the bench or she's going to go to prison. And she can get off of prison if she just takes the pill, take the drug. Think about that, people. I wonder how much money Stephen Manley is getting from Big Pharma or what kind of sweetheart deal he has. You mark my words, you follow his career, he'll wind up as the CEO of Merck or Pfizer or one of these multinational pharmaceutical companies. I'm sure he's got all kinds of deals cut with them. I know for a fact that his pension fund, the California Employees Pension Plan, is heavily invested in Merck, Pfizer, so he doesn't even have to have a sweetheart deal or a future gig with the corporation that he's selling their product through his position on the bench. Think about that. He's nothing more than a drug salesman. And he's not a salesman. He's a pusher because he's forcing people like Tania to take the drug or go to jail. And that was the deal in court. He said it. You're going to take medication? She says no. He says, then you're going to go to jail for 3 weeks. And they're going to try to forcibly medicate her. She's paying a heavy price, and this guy is so corrupt, and he's on the Internet bragging about giving people the option of jail or drugs. This isn't the first time with this Judge Manley. This is a pattern. This guy's a psychopath, and he's extremely dangerous. Look what he's doing to people. And I almost guarantee not one of these people that he's given the drug option for is a violent criminal. I can guarantee it's stuff like drug possession, selling drugs, driving with the 3rd or 4th DWI, maybe no victim, no crash, no accident, just ran into a roadblock after 3 or 4 beers, going out at night. They like to drink, That's what most DWIs are. They're not dangerous drunk drivers who need to be taken off the road. That's very rare. And you're not going to stop them with DWI laws. You're still going to get people driving drunk and killing people. It's never going to change. Only people that get sucked in to the new statutory state, the police state, the massive amount of laws and statute state, are the innocent, the more or less innocent people who just make a mistake or don't abide by the certain statute put forth by the attorney bar members who have gotten elected to the legislature and then pass all these laws that the court, who's also infested with bar members, are willing to enforce. And what is a bar member? That's the British. That's the barristers. The bar is a private organization registered in England, and All these lawyers with an ESQ next to their name are esquires. That's their title. That is the title of British nobility. An esquire is not an American thing. That's a British royalty thing. Okay, folks? Wake up. So all these attorney esquires are committing treason every day by making a whole bunch of money doing things like this to Tania McCash. So please go to courtroomwatch.com. Call the numbers if the numbers have been changed or or one is incorrect. We do make mistakes. We try to double check and triple check. I usually call all the numbers myself first just to make sure they're right. And with that, I want to shift gears and remind people that if you really want to go to the top, and because you're wondering who's behind all this, I mean, obviously the devil, but who's at the top of the chain here and who's at the chain of command? You want to call the Vicar General. Okay, he's your local. He's the Roman Emperor's man in town. And all you have to do is go online and type in Diocese of Rochester, Diocese of New York, Diocese of Atlanta, Diocese of Tampa, Diocese of Salt Lake City, Diocese of Las Vegas. Type in Vicar General. You'll see it's a very real person. Note the use of the military term general, and the Vicar General works directly for the Archbishop, and he's kind of the behind-the-scenes manager for all these courts. I've seen it happen because the courts are already appointing Catholic Charities and Catholic Family Center over children seized by CPS, people's Social Security settlements, disability settlements, estates settlements. I've seen it time after time. This Vicar General and the Archbishop have a stranglehold on our court system. And you can say what you want about other nationalities, but if you have the court system, you got everything. And right now, the Bar out of London, which is ultimately managed by the Church of England and the Church of Rome, which are unified now. Just read the statements by all the high-ups in the Catholic hierarchy. The popes and the cardinals are all saying the Church of England and the Church of Rome are now unified as one. Here it comes. So they're extremely powerful. There's my point. If you want to get results, call the Archbishop. No joke. And in this case, you're not going to believe this. The Archbishop of San Francisco, which is the closest big shot to Tania McCash, is named Salvatore Corleone. Did you get that, people? And I'm not kidding you. His name is Salvatore Corleone, as in Don Corleone from The Godfather. It's spelled. He spelled it in this case Cordilione, Corleone. But very interesting that the Archbishop of San Francisco shares the identical name with the character in The Godfather. And his first name is Salvatore, which the nickname could be Sal or Sonny. And Sonny Corleone was the firstborn son of The Godfather in the movie. And there's a part of me that thinks that cannot be by accident. But anyhow, he's the big shot. Forget about his name, because they like to do that. They like to play the name game because it makes people giggle and laugh and say, oh, he thinks he's Don Corleone, or somebody else thinks he's Don Corleone, and isn't that funny? But the bottom line is the man is extremely powerful, and he's the one that could make or break any one of these tyrannies in general, or any one of these cases in particular. So, and we want him to get involved in the particular case of Tania McCash. So just have some balls. Call the Archbishop's office and say, my name is so-and-so. I live in whatever state you're in. Please, I'd like you to intervene on behalf of Tania McCash. Please don't insult my intelligence and tell me you have no authority, or you have no power in this, where you can't do anything baloney. They can do whatever they want to do. And we're requiring you, if you're a man of God, get involved, Mr. Archbishop. Do a godly thing. Do the right thing. Play on his conscience, or at least just put the pressure on him and let him know that we know he's the man behind the curtain. So trust me, I've seen this, and I can prove the case time after time through specific court cases that the Catholic Church, and unfortunately, is not doing godly work. They're doing political work. They're doing banking work. And because they are the largest bank in the world. Unfortunately, they're privately held, and it's hard to look into their books and see what's going on. But anyway, we encourage people to call the Archbishop Corleone. Phone blitz on Don Corleone, folks. Here we go, all right? So if you want to get a good laugh, that'll be the last laugh we're going to have, because Tania's suffering right now. She's in a room for 23 hours a day with one 5-minute phone call. Think about it. We're standing up in court. This is another Anna Taylor type case. Stand up in court, does the right thing, knocks it out of the park, very effective, very smart, great paperwork, representing herself, and guess what? She's dragged off to the psychiatric ward. And we think we're living in the United States of America? Are you kidding me? People are going to cook hot dogs and eat brownies on 4th of July and think they're free? Are you nuts? You're going to kiss your children and say, oh, America's still the greatest country in the world. Are you kidding me? Trump's going to save us from stuff like this? He's not even touching this stuff. So this is why it's up to us. The fix is only going to be put forth by the people. Buy local, fix local. Trump's not going to fix anything. Neither is the King Arthur or the Tooth Fairy. It's up to you and me, everybody listening. And I'm not doing this for entertainment purposes. I'm doing this because I care about Tania. And I know it could be my ass in that sling sitting in that room for 23 hours a day wondering if anybody out there was remembering my case. Think about it, people, all right? Before you go to bed tonight, think about her sitting in that room, locked in a room for 23 hours with one 5-minute phone call. That means you've got to pick one person, and you can only talk to them for 5 minutes, and then they cut your call. Oh, and they charge you like $2 a minute, so every 5-minute call is $10. You're gonna run through money pretty quick. Who's gonna help you? Who are you gonna rely? You can't call anybody and just say, hey, can you run down to the bank and Western Union me a couple $100? That's not gonna happen. The hospital staff won't deliver her any messages. How do you communicate? She doesn't have her cell phone and her contact list with her and her iPhone. They steal that stuff from you when you go in, and then they feed you garbage food, if any. Put you in a room with, I've heard the rooms are cold and the beds are hard, so you can't sleep at night. And then in Tania's case, because I guess she's a woman, they're going to torture her a little extra by putting a spotlight right over her head while she's sleeping. Are you getting this, people? Are you getting the picture? This is how it goes in America when you stand for freedom. So, hey, if you wanna be one of the sheeple out there, be known as a coward to the system, because the system will know you're a coward if you fail to get involved. Get involved. It's real simple. Make a few phone calls every day until Tania's out. Take 10 minutes for Tania. How's that? 10 minutes for Tania. All right? Every day. And if you're too cowardly to make the calls, at least pray on it. But that is not enough in and of itself. Because the Bible tells us in Psalms 94:16, who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? There's a lot of evildoers that Tania stood up against. A lot of workers of iniquity that are very mad at her because she's standing up effectively. So you're going to let her sink or swim alone? That would suck. Wouldn't think about you being in there, people. So I hope I've made the case to get people active. Keep Tania's case alive. She's got to get out immediately. You just can't wait 3 weeks or 6 weeks or however long they're going to keep her in there. I've seen how this goes. They start torturing people through either malnutrition, holding back quality food, and making them basically starve by eating, flavored cardboard, or they make you sick by putting you in a room with somebody or a cell with somebody who's got hepatitis or something contagious that you could catch by saliva, or just name your disease. In this case, it appears the woman had something like a flesh-eating bacteria, and bad enough to where, according to Tania, the guy came in the room with a hazmat suit. That's a full-body suit with a helmet and boots and everything, like in the movie Outbreak, and sprays the room down with some unknown chemical, which is probably worse for you even than the flesh-eating bacteria that they had in the first place. So this is what she's going through, and we're demanding she get out immediately. So people, please go to Courtroom Watch or wherever you got to go. If you think we're making any money promoting our website here, it ain't happening. I wish we were. We only do this to get Tania's case forward. If there's another place to go to find out about her, kudos. Let me know. I know she had some videos on YouTube. Some of them got taken down. Some stuff got blocked. She had documents she posted on Craigslist, I think, in the comment section. She was a fan of Craigslist. So Tania McCash will be up there. Post her documents. Post her case. Post the video. She told me she had videos up there of her protesting or serving papers or something. I don't know if they're still up there. Find what you can and share it with everybody. And do your own. This is why we're all, kind of a group of just everybody has got to do it on their own sometimes. I can't take you by the hand. We've posted numbers to get you started. We've given you the names of the players. The judge is Stephen Manley, M-A-N-L-E-Y. It's not very manly for Judge Stephen Manley to be attacking a woman through his position on the bench. So I think the chief, what do you do in that case? You call the archbishop, and there's a renegade judge dressed like a pirate, no joke, up on the internet. Don Corleone, go get him. Please, immediately, Tania's suffering. This is not a joke. Call the chief, and I don't know who it is yet. I haven't had enough time to organize all this and go as far as we had. Daniel and I were up to, 4 in the morning last night, Daniel, putting links up to everything that we bring, everything that we mention in a phone blitz, whether it's, the police or the military, a certain agency, a certain organization, a certain NGO, certain individuals. We put links to it all, and multiple links where there was a couple of videos for, a couple of supporting documents or videos for each point we were making. And so we're putting a lot of time into this for zero money. I appreciate what Daniel's doing. Gary's here. He's not making any money on this. Jody doesn't do this for any money at all. She does it because she likes to help people. Same with Connie. They're all doing it on the passion because, they realize if Tania's not free, you and me are not free either. They're going to get, this eventually comes for everyone, and soon, not like way late. And it could come in many forms. And so by speaking together with one voice on behalf of people like Tania, we can really send the system a message, as well as getting Tania out. She's the first priority. But on top of that, you're sending the system a message, several messages. A, the group is not going to stand for it. B, we're going to spread the word even more. The more you do this, the more people are going to wake up. C, you could go. I'm not a sheeple. I'm willing to speak up on behalf of someone I never even met. But research the cases. We try to bring you, like Connie. It's such a blessing to have Connie in this case. And in Anna's case, we had Tammy and Jody and people who are really familiar that can bring up the details and let us know exactly what's going on there. So we really appreciate their help as well. So if anybody wants to chime in, feel free. I was just I want to go through my notes and see if we have.
Eric?
Yes, sir.
I have a video that Mr. Stephen Manley's in. The description.
Perfect time for that, Daniel. Okay, so what we're going to play here is we have a judge, we have Tania McCash being persecuted by Judge Stephen Manley, and this is not just a normal court case where she's, pissed off at the judge because the judge is ruling against her. This guy came out of his jurisdiction in Santa Clara County and basically refuses to let Alameda County take the case as the federal court has ordered. So we can say I think it's not a stretch to say Judge Stephen Manley is in violation of a federal court order. He's committing racketeering because he's making money off all the drugs he's pushing from the bench, and he's in public pushing those drugs. So we got him on RICO. We got him on violation of a federal court order. Let's see. Name the civil rights violations one after another. We could go on and on about 242 and the Title 42 in 1983 and all these protections for natural and civil rights, both rights government and rights natural, meaning the natural rights, meaning the ones that come from God, that we have no matter what. If you people out there thinking the government's going to give you your rights, you're sadly mistaken, and you're living in slavery. Shake off the chains. Your rights are all given by the Creator. You have them just by the fact that you're born. They don't have to be affirmed or licensed or permitted by the state. Now, I know go ahead.
I'm going to read this, Eric. It's the description of the video. It's on YouTube. It says Superior Court Judge Stephen Manley, who oversees a drug court in Santa Clara County, says that punishment, the hammer, doesn't work in reducing recidivism. He's seen that offering rewards for good behavior and following up work much better than sending offenders to jail or threatening sanctions. The real lesson, he says, is that people do better in their lives when they are encouraged rather than punished. Now, this video here is, it looks like a round table discussion with Mr. Manley talking about how he works in the courts. And then let's play this here. It's a 2-minute clip. It should be pretty good. It looks like interesting. So here we go.
There's a misunderstanding about what the hammer needs to be in a drug court and a mental health court. I mean, I have 2,200 offenders approximately that I monitor and supervise, and the hammer is really a felony, always held with it the possibility of either state prison or 16 months in jail or longer, whereas a misdemeanor, the maximum punishment is a year in jail. But in terms of motivating people, I have never found that punishment works at all. And to me, it's really not what the hammer is. It's how do you motivate somebody to do something they may not want to do. And you don't need as heavy a hammer as sending someone to state prison, because if you think about it, if your goal is to reduce recidivism, have somebody improve their life, if the outcome, if they don't do well, is you just send them to prison, well, then why did you start? You know, if that's the way you're going to end it up. You have to give people multiple chances. I don't agree with for example, I find flash incarceration as it exists in California is really not a very good tool, because 10 days in jail doesn't mean anything unless it's related to something someone hasn't done. Now, and then there has to be follow-up of what are they expected to do, and then you need to reward them. What we have learned in drug courts throughout the country is that you need to give 6 to 7 rewards for every one sanction. Now, if you think about that, the real lesson is you're going to get more out of people. They're going to do better in their lives if you encourage them than if you just hold threats over their heads that you never follow through on, or you do follow through on, or you just slam them in jail.
Well, there you go.
Hold on a minute. Holy S-H-I, you know what? Oh, my God. Now, are you getting this, people? This guy admitted at the beginning of that piece that he's running a drug court. And his solution is to get people on drugs? You're going to go on medication now to avoid prison? He's running a drug court. He's not even running a criminal court. Not one person that comes through Stephen Manley's court is a criminal or has committed a criminal act. They're committing possession crimes. You got this in your pocket, you have this in your yard, you have this in your house. None of it's any danger. None of it hurt anybody. Look, and I'm not promoting drug use, but which is way worse, this Stephen Manley coming on, and listen to what he said carefully, people. I hope you were really listening. He said it's about something that someone hasn't done. He didn't say it's about something that someone has done. In other words, a crime. He said it's about something that someone hasn't done. He slipped up and told the truth and admitted it's not about crime. It's about people. It's about making criminals out of people because they possess an item. And then saying, because you had this item, you're now going to either go to prison or, better yet, take a drug from Big Pharma. So he's basically transferring people from regular street drugs, some of which are not super healthy, but some of them which are not super deadly, and putting them on Big Pharma drugs. So he's basically a drug transfer agent. You're not going to take that anymore. You're going to take this. I make money telling you to take this. He didn't really get into that. Boy, his drug court is taking people off one drug and putting them on another. Now, how sick in the head is that? And he's talking about the hammer, and that was absolutely grotesque. And when he said it all, when he said something that someone hasn't done, something that someone has not done. If you replay that, you will hear him say, don't play it again. It was sickening to hear that. I'm glad you did play it once, but we don't need to do that. But what I'd like you to do, Daniel, if you can hear me yelling in the background, is if I'd like you to play 10, 15 seconds and stop, and I can say, now listen to that. Listen to what he just said. He just said something that someone hasn't done, not something that someone has done. Okay, if you want to take criminals off the street, great. He's not about criminals. other than turning people into them by passing laws from the bar at the legislature. So all these drug possession crimes can now be considered criminal acts, and he acts like he's going to save people by putting them on, a better drug. Here, take Seroquel, which kills people, or take this antidepressant, which is going to make you commit suicide. All you have to do is look at the side effects of these drugs. Connie's with us tonight, telling us, hey, from the inside, she knows these drugs are lethal. You don't really have to be on the inside, or you just have to have common sense and look what's going around. So I find it very disgusting that Stephen Manley, a drug court of all things, he's not even in a criminal court. He's in drug court. He's juggling. He's getting people on the stuff that he's making money on. They have to be taking the pill instead of the pot, and so Stephen Manley can make the money. Am I way off base on that?
No, definitely not, man. This is definitely you're making plenty of sense. I'll tell you that.
Well, I tell you, I'm really angered about this case because Tania's suffering right now while we're all going to have a nice bowl of ice cream or whatever and go to bed. She's suffering, and she needs to get out. So I'm hoping people are not going to wait. It's 3 hours behind the East Coast in California. So anybody on the East Coast, remember, this is California, so account for 3 hours difference. She's at the Elmwood Correctional. All this is at courtroomwatch.com, so just go to the website if you want to find out. Hey, people repost this stuff anywhere you want. None of this is proprietary. None of it's patented or copyrighted. There's no rules and regulations at the courtroomwatch.com. We just want to get Tania out. So whatever you got to do that, do it. Post our stuff, repost our stuff, post a new number. Say one of the numbers that the Courtroom Watch was incorrect or had been changed. Here it is. Here's the correct number. We need all the help we can get on this, people. So, and if you want someone to be there for you, if you get scooped up, or your children, hey, it might happen to them. They might be out innocently, having a good time one night and get, around something that by accidentally and end up really paying a price for doing absolutely nothing but being in maybe just the wrong place at the wrong time. That happens a lot. So I encourage people to kind of nip it in the bud, as they used to say, by getting involved in Tania's case and not letting this metastasize so much that it's gonna get us all. So, do we have any comments more from Connie? Connie, do you have anything to add or anything to what I've been talking about or anything that came to mind? I find it very interesting that Stephen Manley has a drug court, and he's transferring people from whatever drug they got busted with onto whatever he's pushing that day. And how do you feel about the California public pension system being invested in Merck and Pfizer and Eli Lilly and GlaxoSmithKline and all these other pharmaceutical, AstraZeneca and all these other pharmaceutical giants? This judge is literally making his pension grow bigger. He's literally making money on every case that comes into his court that he puts people on a pharmaceutical drug for. Does that? Have you heard about that, Connie?
I haven't heard a lot about that, but there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes and a lot of people making money in many different ways. Just like years ago, you had sales reps who were sort of like bribing doctors to prescribe their drugs and everything, and now this is in the court system, Tania said she would have left this country a long time ago. What kept her in this country is because she's fighting for her children. Now, I have heard her daughter a few years ago cry for her mommy. She would doodle she was in 3rd or 4th grade, she was doodling in her notebook, crying and saying, I miss my mommy, I love my mommy. What do the people at the school say? Stop doodling in your notebook. So not only Tania's being harmed, she cries for her daughter. Her daughter cries for her. She missed so many. She has 2 sons. They both graduated. She missed so many precious moments with her children. Most people who go through a divorce, they put aside their differences for the sake of the children. And I hope anybody listening remembers that. Put aside whatever differences you have. And our country trying to take all these children away from their mothers, like Anna's baby. Tanya's kids. This is so wrong, you know, but there is a lot of corruption, and they are trying to hand out these psychotropic antidepressant drugs like candy to anybody and anybody who will take them. And what Judge Manley did with Tanya, he punished her for not taking the drugs. Not taking the drugs, fighting for her rights, suing him. And clearly this is retaliation. And I urge people, look up Judge Manley, because on that website with that link to that YouTube video, they're praising him for allowing people to take drugs and get mental health. They want to label everybody with a psychological or mental health. Why? There is a reason why. And it's not just about the money. There is a lot of stuff going on. This is the surveillance state.
He's being praised. Are you getting this, people? Are you being praised for giving people the option to go on drugs instead of going to jail? And he's running a drug court. So his solution to either a drug addict or a drug dealer, because that's basically your two categories. You got your user and you got your supplier. Most of the suppliers aren't big users. Most of the users aren't big suppliers. But those are your two categories. He's taking people, and the solution to drug users and drug dealers is go on drugs. Teresa, how would you feel if somebody yanked away your children?
Oh, I would be very upset. And I'd be fighting it with everything I got.
Yeah, Teresa made a nice announcement the other night on single parents, helping single parents, announcing this case as a emergency phone blitz, and just want to thank her, and we appreciate her doing that. So,
yes.
Just, definitely. Are you still there, Eric?
Yes, I am. I just didn't want to hog the mic all night, and I want to give everybody a chance to speak up. Gary, how does this?
I just want to clarify. Can I clarify one thing? Tania did call me like about 4 or 5 times on Saturday and 4 or 5 times on Sunday, but yesterday no calls. So it's really sporadic whether she's going to be kept in that cell for 21 hours, 23 hours, whether she can make a phone call or make 4 phone calls. But, clearly they are, this affects her ability to fight for herself. She has been fighting for herself, learning the laws, learning the Constitution, learning about common law, and studying the codes and statutes. But really they are limiting her ability to fight for herself and put her in there because they don't agree with her legal strategy and because she won't take drugs and she won't take a psych label. Now, one thing really important, Tania did do let me see. It's a living will, but it has to do with psychiatric living will. I believe she might have got it from CCHR, and she writes out what her wishes are, and then she names me to be appointed. So if for some reason, say they, don't honor her wishes, then I would come next, and I would make sure that her wishes are honored in this psychiatric living will. So others may want to find somebody that they trust who will carry out their wishes and fight the fight for them if for some reason they are not in a position to fight for their fight, because they're trying to get more and more guardianships. They'll get a complete stranger to be a guardianship on people, and they get paid money too. They get paid money, and then they can have a say over your life. Do you want a complete stranger to have a say over your life and get paid for doing it? And in some cases, they manage their money. It's truly criminal and crazy what's going on.
And having a stranger like Stephen Manley, who's so sick in the head. I mean, imagine that. Hi, I'm going to arrest people for drugs and then make the solution putting them back on drugs.
Yeah, just a different drug. A drug, instead of person A getting the drug money, it's a big corporation. And yeah, are these judges and counties getting kickbacks? Just like when sales reps would go to doctor's offices and they were, they can get kickbacks, because they push their drugs instead of a different drug.
I would like Daniel to go online while we're chatting right now and keeping the interest in Tania's case alive. I'd like Daniel, if you can, Daniel, go online during this. It sounds like you can because you were able to play that clip. What I'd like you to do is type in, and this is a nice little exercise, and we'll go through this kind of on air and live time here with our listeners, so our friends and people out there in single parents land and courtroom observers all around the nation and the world, and all our people out there who follow what we do. We got people in corporate America. We got a lot of government agents watching what we do, I'm sure. But I'm sure the Vatican is watching. So this will be kind of interesting. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to lay out our case that Judge Stephen Manley, is committing RICO, which is racketeering and conspiracy, because
it's interesting. Hold on, before you go on. Sure. I was here on Google or YouTube, and I found an interesting YouTube video of Santa Clara County court system. It says racketeering and honest service fraud allegations.
And, I was just talking about that.
So I was thinking, let's play that video. It's a 6-minute video here.
Let's do that, and then I'll take up what I was saying. Go ahead, Daniel. Thank you so much. This is Daniel Leach, Eric the Freedom Screamer, with Jody, Connie, and Gary in Michigan. And we're going to play a clip right now. Thanks for joining us at Studio 1776. Go ahead, Daniel.
Now, this is a video it's showing here. Newspaper watchdog groups, the Mercury News, Tainted Trials, Stolen Justice. Santa Clara County News, new judge violates basic fairness rules. Santa Clara County protester defends himself in state bar trial. A woman conviction overturned 13 years after Campbell burglary. Judge admonishes ex-part chat for prosecutor. Mercury News editorial, county judge must impose tighter rules for managing valuable residents. Ricky Walker lost nearly 12 years. Mercury News editorial, another flawed judge raised questions. Santa Clara judge reconsiders his early ruling on a trustee executive fee case. Sheriff releases protester after presiding judge orders his arrest. This is the raw, unedited footage of allegedly...
Stop harassing us with law enforcement. We have not done anything wrong.
It looks like a protest here.
Go back inside, law enforcement. Go back inside. Abide by the order. I am on a sidewalk. I will continue to protest family court. I am not doing anything wrong, law enforcement. This is my First Amendment right to be out here questioning my freedom, speaking up for my community. Thank you for your support. We are out of this corruption. You will not take us down.
Daniel?
Yeah.
It's hard for us out here to figure out what that is because we can't see it and the audio, it's overdriving, so we can't really hear it too well either. So I think we get the idea. There's some serious, massive corruption in Santa Clara County, California. Wow, I'm blown away, but not surprised. And we can add this to the list. What I'm going to ask you to do, Daniel, if you would, please send our information with Tania's case over to those guys, whoever posted that add this one to the list. It sounds like there's all kinds of corruption in Santa Clara County, in almost every venue. Whether it's
this was posted by the Sacramento Family Court News. That's who it was posted by.
Well, I'm gonna leave it up to you because you're on the computer and I'm not. If you can send them Tania's case, that would be a huge help for Tania. They might give us some traction. Yep.
Absolutely.
That would be fantastic. Tania would appreciate it. If she's languishing in a room for 23 hours a day, people think about that.
Excellent. Yeah, I just posted the link to our blog on their site there, Eric, so they should be getting that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're trying to get Tania out quickly here, people. We're not going to let her sit in there for, any longer. That's ridiculous. This is urgent. I've already made calls to the facility and to the judge and to the I can't remember whether I've called the Archbishop yet. I wanted to go through the motions of the lower level people at first before I get up to the Don Corleone at the Archbishop's office of San Francisco. I almost fell out of my chair laughing when I saw that the Archbishop of San Francisco is named Corleone. So we need people to call this week to not let this go past this weekend and get Tania out of there. And I would find the name. We're going to also, Daniel, I'm going to kind of just think out loud here and throw a few things out. We need a copy of the judicial complaint form for the state of California. I know I'll be filling one out. And anybody out there who is outraged about this case, it's a really good way. If you don't like calling and talking to somebody and making your voice heard, you can write a letter or an email for Tania's release. Don't forget to write the Archbishop's office because that's where it's really going to be heard. The lower courts are hoping that you don't ever address this with the higher-up people. And there are higher-up people than the courts and then the federal judges and then your local congressman and senator. They're not the highest up. Daniel, I know you're familiar with Rochester. We have a man here named Arnie Rothschild. Yeah, Rothschild. First name is Arnie, and he basically runs the state. This part of the state. He runs both. He's a Republican operative who's put two Democrats in office. So he's a perfect Republican. He'll assist the Democrats in getting elected. And there's articles that explain exactly this is not just a conspiracy theory or something I thought might look. It looks bad. It looks like he was supporting one or two. No, I mean it's all out in the open. He visibly and publicly supported multiple Democrats, and he works for the Republican Party. I mean, so it just goes to show you that the bankers really do run both political parties. He also fired Kevin Williams, one of the world's greatest weather forecasters, loved by everybody, and a great patriot, too. And for coming out against global warming and saying global warming is a scam and it's a lie, and here's the facts and here's the numbers. He was fired from WHEC-TV, which is an NBC affiliate owned by Arnie Rothschild. The guy's got his hands in everything, including the arts councils and the plays and where they have the concerts and stuff, and where all the women like to go out, get dressed up, and have their little events and socialize. And he's in everything. And of course, as a Rothschild, he's intimately involved with the banking establishment. They don't really want you to know that part, but he's the opposite. So there's people. I mean, if you just look behind the curtain, you'll find the people. In upstate New York, it's Arnie Rothschild. He's like the plantation manager up here. Anybody gets out of line, I'm sure he's got all kinds of power underneath him. People that make decisions that he would approve of. He delegates a lot out, I'm sure. Doesn't make every call himself. There's not like a bat phone there where he tells everybody what to do from one place. But he hires people and has people appoint, supports political candidates that are going to toe the party line. When Mark Cassini, running for Congress here in upstate New York, came on the radio to do his interview, he was running for Congress. At the time, he was the town supervisor for Gates, I think, the town of Gates. And Mark Cassini came on. He wanted to be a congressman so bad. And he came on WYSL, and he said, well, we can't forget, of course, people. He mentioned, long and short, he mentioned one name during his entire interview, and that name was Arnie Rothschild. the political Republican operative who puts Democrats in office whenever he feels that needs to be done. And he's the power. Him and the vicar general. The vicar general is the tax collector. Look it up in the dictionary. A priest or lay person, meaning not priest, for a religious corporation. Not a church, a religious corporation responsible for appropriating the principal revenues, and that's the definition of a vicar general. He's basically the tax collector for the Vatican in your town, and every city, every diocese has a vicar general. Some have a judicial vicar. We had a judicial vicar here, Lou Sirianni. Who's judicial? Do you think they're vicaring, folks? So it's obvious, and I've seen what the courts do, which is appoint everything towards the vicar general. All kinds of settlements, all kinds of estates, all kinds of disability claims, all kinds of children. That means they're trafficking in human flesh, as they are here in Tania's case, carrying her children away from her first, labeling her mentally ill second, locking her in a psychiatric institution third. And this is where it culminates, and that's where we are today. So Tania McCash is languishing. We need everybody to participate in this as if it were someone in your own family. And I wouldn't ask this, for just some, anybody. Tania is special. She's not, a famous person or anything like that. She's just a really strong patriot. She's the person that we all want to be. They would go into court, knock it out of the park, take the system right on head to head within the system. I'm not saying do battle physically because we're not looking for bloodshed. We're looking for what do we call it? Restoration. Okay, we had our revolution a long time ago. Right now we're trying to restore what has been violated, and what I don't like to say lost, because you never lose anything unless you're willing to give it up. As long as people want to be free and act like they're free in some way and think they're free and freedom is a valid concept and it should be fought for, then you'll be free. Obviously, there are going to be tyrannies and hoops you got to jump through, and you may have to get a license to drive just to keep the cops off your back, but make it so you're out there getting a lot more bang for your buck for participating in the system and giving in. I encourage people to take back some freedoms, or at least since they're never lost, let's use the word cease the violation. They're violating. They can never take away your freedom. They can only violate it. If you're free, as long as you're breathing, you're free, because your rights come from God. So until you're dead, you're free. However, that has to be maintained and earned along the way. And it's never going to be a perfect freedom. There's always going to be tyranny and evil out there. But we do what we can along the way. And if nothing else, you can help one person at a time. Real simple. All right, the system's overwhelming. What are you going to do? How are you going to change it? It's just so out of control in its evil that it almost looks like all hope is lost. And at that point, just back up a step and just help one person at a time, one case at a time. And that's what we do. First it's this, and the second that, and then with Steve and Dean, and then Tammy, and then Jody, and then, we helped, Tyler, and then Anna. Now it's Tania, and it could be you next time, folks. So I'm just letting you know that it's though, whoever fails to get involved is making a big mistake, because it's going to come for you or somebody that you know or love, a friend, a family, someday in the future. That's how these things go. And once again, the people who don't stand up against it are well known by the system, and they're the first ones to be abused when it comes time to, the oppression, whatever form it may take. So,
Rick, can I add a couple things?
Sure.
One thing that is super important, by them, with Tania's, when they arrested her for violating that protective order, which, again, she was not served and didn't know about. So I'm glad agents and people like that are listening, because she never had any intent to break the law. She didn't know she was breaking the law, or she wouldn't have gone to the police to complain about the principal. I mean, that's just absurd. Number two, Tania is a very caring and giving person. She has tried to help many, many people and exposed a lot of the corruption that was that was being done against other people, and I know that for a fact. Another thing is, oh, I forgot. Jeez. But anyways, you know, again, I know the most important thing. By them taking this charge and saying it's a misdemeanor, it's a felony, it's a misdemeanor, going back and forth, she found out that she is on a global watch list. Yeah, it's like ISCI or I don't know, something. She is on some global watch list. So she is like almost like labeled as a domestic terrorist. And that's what they're doing. I mean, she befriended somebody else. He actually ran for a public seat in his city or town, and he did a FOIA request with FBI, and they gave him over 200 documents, and they have him labeled as a domestic terrorist. This is a person who ran for public office, and, you know, he's fighting his fight. But I'm telling you, this is going on right and left, and I really think there needs to be a website. It needs to have, like, the first name, and then it needs to have the state, and then it needs to have the police that were involved, the city, the county, the judges that were involved, because this is going to show that there's a pattern. Because when things happened to Jody, there was a girl named Melissa in Georgia. She was brutalized by the police as she was coming out of a convenience store, and then she was sent to a hospital, then a psychiatric hospital, and then a bunch of people spent a month trying to get her out. So this is going on, and if there was a website and it would say like the first name of the person, or it doesn't even have to say that, you know, so 46-year-old female, you know, Atlanta, Georgia, and then name the judge, name the police, get everything out there. It is good to have a form.
Well, we already have to do it. We already got the website. Let's go. Hey, we will offer up courtroomwatch.com for any naming and shaming of any public prostitute that is abusing anybody in the general public.
Yeah, I think it's going to show a pattern, and it's also going to show what areas it's happening more. But when you see the same judge's name over and over again, sure, and things like that. But again, the most important thing about Tania, they nailed her with this charge. They set her up, you know, not giving her the copy of not making her aware or giving her a copy of the protective order, and then getting her on this global watch list. And she's like a domestic terrorist on a global watch list. She violated a protective order that she never was served. So really, that she was framed. And as far as the judge saying, I want you to take drugs, are you going to take antipsychotic illnesses, and saying no, right there, I mean, there's got to be a label for that. I don't know, there's got to be a word for that, and a legal word, like, you know, there's like bribery or whatever, but
it's public. Well, in New York, the charge is public corruption. You could go to prison for that. Go online and type in New York representatives in prison. There's like 39 of them. You would believe it. I mean, one after public corruption, bribery, graft. There's all kinds of crimes they can be charged with. Well, you could get them on RICO. You could get them on violation of their oath. You could get them on public corruption, racketeering. Definitely, I mean, the racketeering's easy. So let me get back to real quick here, because I got off track and I just remembered I never really finished giving people their little, their project. This is a big project, actually. And I'll be brief and then get back to Connie. But I want to get this out there while I'm still thinking about it. There's so many things going on in this case and so many people involved that are trying to help Tania, and I appreciate everybody being with us tonight on Studio 1776. So the project is this. Since we're proving that Judge Stephen Manley is committing racketeering and lining his own pocket from the bench, okay, these are felonies, just go online and type in NASDAQ, NASDAQ. That's like, as in like the New York Stock Exchange. And then when you get to NASDAQ, actually you might even be able to just type this in directly. Type in the name of we'll pick your corporation. What are the 5 biggest drug manufacturers? AstraZeneca, ASTRA, capital ZEN, as in Nancy, ECA. Astra, Zeneca. It's two words, capital A, capital Z, A-S-T-R-A for Astra, and then the word Zeneca, Z-E-N-E-C-A. Okay, AstraZeneca. Type in NASDAQ, AstraZeneca. Type in NASDAQ Pfizer, P-F-I, what is it, a Z, Z-E-R, Pfizer. Type in NASDAQ, N-A-S-D-A-Q. God, what's another one? Argenta? Isn't Argenta A-R-G-E-N-T-A, I think, is a big manufacturer. We've got
so why am I doing this? Why am I typing all these in?
Well, I will tell you in a second. NASDAQ Bayer. I want to go one thing at a time, and then I'll tell you why. But I'm asking people to write down the names of these top drug manufacturers. I'm going to probably miss a few, and forget there's a bunch of them. Did I say Bayer, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, and then you have Glaxo, G-L-A-X-O, is it? GlaxoSmithKline?
GlaxoSmithKline, GSK.
Yep, GlaxoSmithKline. What are some other ones? Give me one or two more, Connie, and then I'll get to the why we're doing this.
Lilly, Merck, AstraZeneca, Bayer, Wyeth.
Wyeth, W-Y-E-T-H, right. Okay, so there's a start, okay? And people, do your own research. I don't have it off the top of my head, but pull up the 20 biggest drug manufacturers, okay? That'll cover all the pills that Judge Stephen Manley is pushing from the bench. Okay, then when you get to the NASDAQ for that corporation, let's just say for now it's Bayer, because they just merged with Monsanto, and they're in charge of not only the drugs, they're in charge of the food now. Doesn't that give you the munchies? So Bayer, NASDAQ Bayer, or any one of those other corporations that we just mentioned, or any others that we forgot. And then look over on the left, and you'll see a list of, it'll say current quote and this and that, and where more about this. And over on the far left, there's a list of subcategories. And almost all the way at the bottom, there's one that says institutional holdings. So you've gone to NASDAQ for whatever Bayer or Eli Lilly, Merck, M-E-R-C-K, that's the one I was forgetting. NASDAQ Merck, M-E-R-C-K. And then institutional holdings. And then it'll put up all and you got it. And they've already started trying to make this a little more difficult. I noticed by giving you only 5 or 6 institutional holdings, you got to dig. There's going to be hundreds for a company that large. There's going to be at least 100 or more institutions that hold the stock in that company, the owners of the company. And if you look down, you will see, if you scroll down through those drug manufacturers and look right up on the NASDAQ, you will see California Public Employees Pension, or California, it's called, there's a couple of them. You look for the California Public Employees Fund, or the Santa Clara, it won't be under Santa Clara County, but it'll be under California. But look for the word California, okay? And that's where the state. California Public, there's a Public Employees, and there's also a California Public Service fund. There's multiple different funds that the state of California has for its public employees, the judges, the cops, the court employees, the courthouse bailiffs, the sheriffs, okay, all the public employees, okay, judges, cops, everybody, they're all invested in this California Public Employees Pension Fund. And that Public Employees Pension Fund is one of the institutions that hold a whole bunch, and it will show you the number, 117,954 shares, or 1,206,985 shares. You'll see it. You'll see the institutions, and they're from every state. Michigan Public Employees Pension, the New York Common Law Public Employees Fund, the Colorado State Pension, the Texas State Employees Pension Program. You'll see and California is right in there owning stock in the companies that make the drugs. So, since Judge Stephen Manley has a nice fat pension coming from the state of California that is currently, right now, today, while he's locking up Tania, heavily invested in the drug industry. That means his pension gets bigger every time he pushes a pill on someone in his court. He's directly using his bench and his position as judge, and the public corruption reeks all the way across the country. I can smell it. He should live in New York. He'd fit right in. And it stinks. And what is he doing? His wallet is getting bigger. His bank account's getting bigger. His pension's getting bigger and growing and growing. He's getting nice and fat because he's heavily invested in the drug industry through his California state employee's pension. He's going to get one of those California state employees' pensions when he retires. He wants to sell as many drugs as he can. The better that Merck and Eli Lilly and Pfizer do, the more money he's making directly. He's a California public employee. He's invested in that pension fund. They own stock in the drugs that he's pushing. How is this not racketeering and conspiracy? It's the worst I've ever seen. It's ungodly.
And essentially, Eric, I think that's legalized drug trafficking.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of the biggest drug dealers in the country. I'm not worried about Freeway Ricky Ross or the local Columbias or MS-13. I'm worried about this guy. And because the public's accepting it. Oh, it's okay to let him decide which drugs are good and which drugs are bad. And guess what? The weed and the cocaine and even the heroin, if it's pure and it's not contaminated, it's probably healthier than the Seroquel, the Zoloft, and the Probasic or whatever. So this guy is the consummate drug dealer. He's legalized the concept of drug dealing and drug monopolizing. He's a monopolist. This guy is creating a monopoly for the biggest drug dealers are the CIA and the gangs. You never hear about any big-time drug dealers get busted anymore. They've all been hired by the CIA, and the ones that weren't they're fighting with them. And so you can be assured the drug war is the government's playing both sides. It's bringing the drugs in, and it's locking people up when they catch them using them. Just go online and type in Marines, as in the U.S. Marines, Kandahar, which is the province in Afghanistan, Kandhar, Marines, Kandahar, opium, 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, Colonel Christmas.
Well, Eric, the interesting thing about Afghanistan.
Telling Geraldo Rivera, the guy with the cheesy mustache, that it's okay for the U.S. Marines and the military to be helping the local drug lords grow the opium and sell it because it's part of their culture, and this is what they do. And we provide them resources and security, and we also provide them alternatives. The alternatives never come. Look at Colonel Bo Greitz and what he went through in Vietnam with General Kum Sa, who wanted to get off the heroin business and get a legitimate crop going, and the World Food Program and the International Monetary Fund would not let him switch over to a legitimate crop because the CIA was the biggest buyer at the time, and he was flying it into the United States.
Yeah, if I may, Eric,
sure.
And Vice President Pence recently said on a YouTube video, yeah, we're not coming out of Afghanistan, and it is so sad right there that our own government is perpetuating all of this insanity onto the people of this country.
Yep, and they're perpetuating the drug trade. They make money on both ends. And now, of course, and why are we talking about this? Are we off topic here with Tania? No, not at all. They got Tania, one of the main crux of her incarceration is to get her as far as the system is concerned, is to get her forcibly medicated. The judge has already said it in court, in public, on record. Will you take the drug? And Tania said, no, I will not. And he said, then you're going to jail. You sure you don't want to take the drug? I'm not taking the drugs. You better take the drugs, lady. I'm not doing it. You're off to jail. And this is the asshole running the drug court? Sorry about the language. I'm sorry to the single parents out there. I'll try to not do slip again. But, yeah, this is the guy running the drug court. The guy who suggests that the people take the drugs to get out of prison, threatening people with prison, or take the pill that's going to make him money because his pension is invested in the corporation that makes that very same pill. He's literally selling the drugs of the company that he owns the stock in. That's what he's doing.
And there's no solution. There's no solution. All he's offering is a dilemma.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, isn't that what Chris would also say? I don't think Chris got on the call, but if he is, he could chime in. The Hegelian dialect, is that correct, what he always calls that?
Yeah, Chris, are you with us tonight? I don't think Chris is with us. I sent him a text. I'm going to do it again. So let's see.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, Eric, and I'd like to say, a few more things. I mean, one of the things that I personally say is that, if we're given... Okay, two choices. That's a dilemma, like I just stated. That's all the court is offering her. Okay, that's not a solution. That's a lose for her and a win for them. Okay, their choice. I mean, they act as though they're giving her a choice, but all they're trying to do is give her a choice of the lesser of two evils. It's not anything that's going to help her. The other thing is they're basically dictating that dilemma. So I always say it like this, Eric. One choice is a dictatorship. Two choices is a dilemma, okay? And that's what's happening with both of these right here. Both of those are playing out, but three choices is a true choice, okay? And there's no remedy here that she's being offered, as we're stating here. There's a lot of other things that are going on. I mean, Connie knows a lot about the pharmaceuticals because she worked, directly with Pfizer. I also, as a nurse, I'm very familiar with that. They tried doing this to me also, as you know. I went through the guardianship. They tried forcing the drugs on me. I knew too much about it, and I just want to encourage people out there. You've got to educate yourself because these people are not going to educate us about what we need to do. So educate yourselves. People are hopefully starting to learn that these drugs actually cause more psychiatric problems than they do to remedy them. So I encourage everybody to go online and read about the side effects of these different drugs. The antidepressants can actually cause people to be more depressed, to be suicidal and homicidal, and the antipsychotic drugs they want to push can actually kill people. All right, and they do. I've seen that happen. So there's a lot of things, going on. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, it's all interrelated because this is very wide and broad, kind of broad with what's going on with everybody. And I just want people to wake up and realize that this is not about class warfare. What it is really boiling down to is it's them against us, and that is it. We are fighting against, like Eric always says, the Nazis. Go look up the court case, Skokie versus U.S. The Nazis were brought here after World War II by the Pope. Yes, the Pope, okay. They won their free speech Supreme Court case, and that is why they are doing this to us. That is why they are trying to take away our First Amendment right to speech, okay. They are louder than we are, okay, and they use violence, and that's what they're counting on to win. We have to take a stand.
Daniel?
We have to educate ourselves and support each other.
Yeah, Daniel, what was I was wondering if Daniel happens to remember there was a post left on the website for me, or with my attention to my name, and it was in regard to a website. It was Stop Psychiatry or Stop Fake Psychiatry? Do you remember the name of that at all? And is that showing up anywhere near where you are now? I wanted to share that with people since we're talking about the psychiatric profession. Tania's case in particular, many others, Anna Taylor, Tyler Whitman, Chris Cave. We've done a lot of these, almost all Jody's. They're out there putting all the patriots in the psych ward. Or they're trying to. So everybody on mute, though, if you're not talking, okay? We got to have that. I hear barking dogs and all kinds of background noise. So if you want to talk, that's fine. But we got to go back on mute when you're not talking. Otherwise, it's going to screw up the overall audio. I think that's part of the reason.
I'm not sure if I can find it.
Another thing, Eric, that they're trying to do in general is they're trying to destigmatize quote-unquote destigmatize a psychiatric diagnosis, and therefore more people are more willing to receive those drugs thinking that they're really going to be helped on it, when all it's going to do is alter their mind. And, Eric, I've kind of learned, and if Gary Don wants to say something on this, if he feels otherwise, I've always been under the understanding that, see, this is a battle for our minds and our souls, that our soul consists of our mind, our will, and our emotions. Okay, so they're using these drugs to get into our mind. Okay, they can alter our emotions, and they also want to override our own self-determination, which is our will. And we know they always talk in doublespeak. And at the same time, we know that it's about the estate that's always unspoken about, which is a related but not direct topic right here. And that's another form of all capital will.
Jody, I want to stay on topic now. I don't want to get too heavy and give people 80 gazillion different overall huge nightmares to try to realize that are going on, even though it's all very true.
Okay, I'll give you some information later for the
people want to go down the
we'll keep on topic.
If people want to go down the rabbit hole, just go to courtroomwatch.com and read Tania's phone blitz. It's only about 2 paragraphs. It's really short because I can only fit so much in one text, and that's the whole point of it, is to blast it out to people in a short form. So I do it in a text, and it's not very long. And there's so many rabbit holes in there. You could spend a year researching everything that is in this, that is involved with this. And so, I don't want to get people too overwhelmed with too many topics right now. I want to focus people on making phone calls for Tania, although I do appreciate the insight, and that is part of the broadcast. We do have to pull back and look at the overall picture, but I'd rather talk about one thing and dissect it and get into it than run over about 20 different topics, cramming them all into one kind of presentation, because then people they get a little confused and they don't quite have something to. Okay, so if we want to talk about Rome, we can talk about Rome. Let's talk about the Vicar Generals. Let's look up the definition. It's a tax collector for the Vatican. Let's look at how they're involved in the local courts. Go into the courts and watch the Vicar General get appointed everything by the local judges. I've seen it. I can show you the cases. So people can't argue with that. So let's open, if we're going to get into anything heavy, let's open it up and slow down and talk about it, and so people can understand how it affects them, really. I got a call from a woman who didn't know nothing about Patriot Movement or the alt media or courtroom observers or any of that stuff. She was just a single parent. Her child was being yanked away by the local courts. And guess who the local judge, Judge Bartlett in Schoharie County, guess who the judge was appointing over all these children that the CPS was grabbing? And the CPS was grabbing tons of children in this small town where there was no abuse. They were just out of control, taking as many children as they could because of the adoption incentives program. Okay? So the CPS has all kinds of incentives now to take as many children as possible, financial incentive. And so these children get up in their parents get up in court, and the judge says, well, I'm taking the child, and we're going to appoint Catholic Charities to examine the children. So that means he's giving, and when you go online and find out who's behind Catholic Charities, it's not Jesus. It's the Vicar General. And it says, Vicar General Dr. Joseph Hart, JCL, moderator of the Curia, Catholic Charities, Catholic Family Center. He's right there.
Hey, Eric, just wanted to let you know, man, we're running out of time here with the recording.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to...
how about when you say running out, give me the time, Daniel, because we can wrap it up. But I need to know how much time we have.
We got about 5 minutes left, and then, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So anyway, but yeah, the Vicar Generals and the Archbishops are important to call in this case and others, because as I have seen in the case with the woman in Schoharie County, that the judges are appointing the Vicar General over people's children that have been taken by Child Protective Services. So it's a real racket and a real scam, and it's really insidious. And it was shocking to me, but not surprising, to actually see the proof. Yes, the Vicar General and Rome is behind this child trafficking, using the courts and the judges. I'm sure I don't know what kind of deal they have cut, but I'm sure they're cutting deals. They'll tell me the judges, Yeah, Jody.
Did you want to mention the judicial vicar also? Because you didn't mention that.
That's right. No, that's all right. Well, there's also a judicial vicar in some dioceses, and he manages the courts even a little more closely than the vicar general. Judicial vicar is nothing more than the vicar general's helper, specifically focused on the courts because, once again, they are, but once again, Jody, I don't want to give people too much. If they start with the vicar general, they can work out there. From there, they'll find that there's also judicial vicars, and the Pope is calling himself the Vicar of Christ, and all this other garbage. So it's thinking I want to keep it. I got to keep it to a certain level of information that we don't give people information overload. I know I get it sometimes too, and I research this stuff all the time, and it can be overwhelming. And at that time, we turn it over to the Creator, and it takes the load off, and it takes the burden away from us, and we can relax a little and realize that we're doing our best to help Tania. We're doing our best to fight the evil, because it is an overwhelming evil, because it's not just happening to Tania. This is a pattern that's going on in every state in the country, and I can prove it. I can show you the people. It's just everywhere. So, and this is why it's so scary, and it's going to come to your door, folks, if you don't get involved now. So get involved now, when all you have to do is make some phone calls, check up on Tania, keep her case alive, post, repost, blast it out on your Twitter, share it up on Facebook, post it on other people's Facebook if they don't mind. All kinds of links. Make a hashtag out of Courtroom Observer, or make a hashtag out of Courtroom Watch, and get people knowing that there is a place they can go and at least do something to help at least one person at a time. And Tania's an important person. She's really fighting this effectively. And when she fights it, she's fighting for all of us, all of you out there. She's fighting for everyone. So because these decisions resonate, it's called precedent, and the courts look at that, and everything resonates, and they remember. And so get involved on Tania's behalf. So go to Courtroom Watch. You can find out, how to help Tania. If the numbers are incorrect or if they've been changed, please get involved and do some research and help us get the correct numbers. I'm counting on everybody to do a little something or a lot of something. Do as much as the Holy Spirit is compelling you to do. I try to do as much as I can to a fault, and I realize that if everybody pushes it a little bit, we're gonna have a lot better life for us and our children. But we got to push it, and we got to buy local, fix local. We got to do it ourselves, because Trump's not going to do it, even if he wanted to, which I'm not necessarily convinced he does. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So even if he wanted to, he needs our help if he's trying to do the right thing. And if he's not, he'll be cast down. With the rest of the wicked people who are doing these things to Tania. And so many other people like her. Imagine the thousands and thousands like her that we just don't know about. So we know about this one. Let's do something about it. This is I'm asking everybody to unify their voice. We need a couple of thousand people to check up on Tania every day until she's out. And remind them that it's a violation of international law and domestic law to forcibly medicate anyone. We want to make sure she's not being forcibly medicated. They need to feed her a healthy diet so they're not malnourishing her, and they need to put her in a safe place with plenty of access to reading and computers where she can provide for her defense and talk with her legal help on the outside, so to speak. She doesn't trust the attorneys. I don't blame her. She's counting on us. It's us, or it's nothing for her. So she's screwed if we don't get involved, people. You got that? So I hope I made the case to get involved. I've already made a few calls. I'm going to do some more tomorrow. And when I have more information, we might do a short video update on this every night this week. Or we might do a long video update on this every night this week. But we're going to do it, and I'm going to see if RBN will give me a night. So I may be on over at the Republic Broadcasting Network if they will allow it. But they don't always like hearing about the archbishops and the vicar generals. I'm sorry. I'm going to point the finger where the power is, and I can prove that the power is there. And we're looking for all the help we can get. We're not saying we're coming after you, Mr. Vicar General. We're saying we need your help if you're a godly man. Intervene in this matter. It's the right thing to do. Set Tania free. She wants to leave the country to go back to her native land in Canada. God bless her. But this torturing of the patriot woman, because she stands up in court, has to stop. I mean, it's 2 in a row now, Anna and now Tania, and God knows how many others that we don't know about. So please, people, get involved. CourtroomWatch.com. We're hoping all the single parents out there who are going to hear about this are going to get involved, because Tania is a single parent, very single and very struggling to get through this. And she really is nice. I've spoken with her on many occasions. She's really awesome. She's very caring, really smart, nice. She listens well. She speaks well. She's great. So I really always liked her. And or not. Well, I don't want to use that in the past tense. I feel like she's gone now. Because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when they're coming out. They tried to keep Anna Taylor in there forever. No joke. They said, we're going to sign you in for life. I don't think so. So that's why we got to help Tania, because it's I don't trust the witch's court at this point, and their drug dealers there lining their pockets from the bench like Judge Stephen Manley. It's not very manly to be pushing drugs for big pharma from your position at the bench and then threatening people with prison if they don't take your drugs. And then we look behind the curtain and your pension fund's invested in the company that makes the drugs. Wow. Boy, what a scam. So,
all right, Eric, we got about a minute left here, bud.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I want to thank Daniel Leach at Single Parents, helpingsingleparents.org. We want everybody to shop there. We're going to try to get more product up there. We're just starting out. We're going to be a nice alternative to Amazon. If you're going to use Amazon, and Jeff Beelzebub, the CEO, who's the wealthiest person in the world right now because he's using slaves to make his products that he's selling and to sell his products that he's selling, please shop with the people who are doing the good work and helping out as many as we can. Shop over at Single Parents, helpingsingleparents.org. Go to courtroomwatch.com or courtroomwatch.org and get involved there. Get some numbers so you can call, do your own research for email. Send emails. We don't always have enough time and room up there to get emails. I'll try to get email addresses of the people involved. But you can get that on your own, people. I'm asking for help here, so we need everybody to do a little work. Be your own investigator. Be a reporter for the Courtroom Observers and Courtroom Watch. And just tell whoever you're talking to, tell them you're doing research for Courtroom Watch. And you submit up your stuff, and we'll get it posted. We have the website. Send us your material at courtroomwatch@gmail.com. That's courtroomwatch@gmail.com. Thank you, Gary in Michigan. Thank you, Jody, for your wonderful insight. You're right on the money with everything. You know too much, but it's good. And thank you, Daniel and Teresa, for coming in tonight. Did I forget anybody? Was anybody else out there? We got Gary, Daniel, Jody, Teresa. And thanks to everybody for getting involved on Tania's behalf. Connie, thank you, Connie. You're so quiet back there this morning. I knew there was somebody else there, really important. I forgot Connie. So, Connie, thank you so much. Keep going. We're going to have Connie back on this week also. Connie's going to be a regular contributor, hopefully, once in a while. She's got a few minutes here and there. We're going to give Connie some more airtime because Connie's a wonderful activist and very well-spoken. Thank you again, Connie, Gary, Jody, Teresa, and Daniel. I think I got everybody that time. And thank you all single parents for getting involved on this. We need you. Talk to you soon.
All right, well, you guys heard it. It was Eric Jones from Courtroom Watch, and I'm Daniel Leach, your host. I'm going to be signing off here. Again, thank everybody for joining us this evening. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.